The people of Silver Creek cheered before the gallows, believing that justice had finally been served. What they did not know was that the man beneath the noose was no ordinary criminal. He was the chief of the Apache, and if he fell, thousands of warriors would come to level the town. Welcome to Wild West storytelling. Let's get started. The town square of Silver Creek was packed shoulder to shoulder. Red dust swirled in the scorching heat. On a hastily built wooden scaffold stood an Apache man with long hair, sun-darkened skin, and both arms bound tightly behind his back. A coarse rope was drawn tight around his neck. His deep black eyes held an eerie calm. The townsfolk had no idea. The man they were about to hang was no ordinary prisoner. He was Nock, chief of the Apache. Below the scaffold, the crowd screamed in rage. Someone hurled a shattered bottle near the wooden steps. A widow shrieked, "Kill him! He murdered the Whitmore girl. Blood must be paid with blood." The roar surged like a crashing wave. No one questioned why the bloodied knife was mysteriously clean. No one wondered why Apache feathers were found exactly where the body lay. They just needed someone to blame, and they had their Apache standing right there in the crowd. Jonas Clay stood silently. The solitary man rarely cared about who the town chose to hang. But when his eyes accidentally locked onto the condemned man's face, something stirred deep inside. Those were not the eyes of a killer. They were the eyes of a leader, proud and calm, even in the face of death. On the edge of the square, Bentley, the notorious copper mine owner, stood with arms crossed, a cold smile curling at the corners of his mouth. No one knew he was the one pulling the strings behind this bloody show. And when the rope tightened, he would be the first to profit from the war that was about to erupt. Thank you for allowing me the honor of being with you tonight. Let us know where you are tuning in from. Wherever you may be listening, I wish you peace and happiness. Jonas Clay leaned casually against a wooden post, his cold gray eyes watching the scene unfold. Folks called him the crazy cowboy, a man no one dared get too close to. 10 years ago, Jonas had been a frontier soldier. He had known many Apache chiefs, including Naish. He knew the silver-haired leader before him was no bloodthirsty savage. Despite what the people of Silver Creek were shouting, but saying that out loud now would be no different than slipping his own neck into the noose. Naish, leader of the Chiricahua Apache, was known for his calm wisdom. He had always tried to avoid conflict, had sent messages calling for peace talks, hoping to preserve the valley lands for his children and theirs. But the greed of white men was louder than any promise ever made. And now here he was, strung up like a murderer. Paraded before the town for sport, in the distance, Bentley, the copper baron and richest man in the region, stood in the shadowed balcony of the Treasury building. His gray suit was pressed clean, his boots polished to a shine, his eyes cold as steel. The townspeople saw him as a savior, the man who brought jobs and prosperity to Silver Creek. But Jonas knew better. Bentley was a wolf dressed as a businessman. In his possession were mining maps showing rich veins of copper lying directly beneath Apache land. All he needed was a reason, an excuse to take it, and the death of the Whitmore girl was the spark he had been waiting for. Her body was found near the edge of Apache territory. Next to it, a freshly bloodied hunting knife and a few Apache feathers scattered on the ground. Too perfect. The kind of scene designed to lead to only one conclusion. The Apache killed her. No one asked why the knife looked unused, why the clues were so conveniently placed. In their anger, the town did not want the truth. They just wanted someone to blame. Jonas glanced toward Naish. The old chief stood tall, eyes forward, not begging, not pleading. That kind of posture belonged only to a leader. Jonas remembered the last time they met at the border. Naish had told him, "If you have any conscience left, hold on to it. Someday you will need it to save your own soul." Now, as he watched that man stand beneath the noose, Jonas felt his own conscience being pulled taut. Beyond the square, the vendors had fallen silent. All of Silver Creek had gathered, eager to witness justice for a red man. They had no idea the real killer was Bentley, still smiling coldly, and that this hanging was nothing more than one move in a grander game, a play to seize the Silver Valley for himself. The pounding of the drum echoed like hammer blows on a coffin. The hangman placed his thick hands on the lever, waiting only for the judge's nod to kick the platform out from under Naisha's feet. The crowd pressed in tighter, shouting themselves, "Horror! Kick the stool! Justice for the Whitmore girl!" The air was feverish with rage, so hot and heavy that no one noticed the sweltering sun burning down on their necks. One more breath and the rope would turn a tribal leader into a hanging corpse. In that sea of people, Jonas stood motionless, his gray eyes locked onto nature's face. The old chief stood proud, lips pressed together, his posture steady, not like a man about to die, but like someone quietly observing his own fate. In the moment their eyes met, Jonas saw something deep and endless. Not fear, not pleading, but a silent message. "You know I am innocent." Jonas froze inside. A voice rang out. "If you stay silent now, this valley will drown in blood. You will not only lose an old friend, you will lose your soul." Suddenly, Bentley stepped forward, voice ringing with authority. "People of Silver Creek, today we witnessed justice. The Whitmore girl has been avenged, and from now on, the Redskins will know this land belongs to us." The crowd erupted, stomping their boots like thunder. The hangman prepared to pull the lever. Jonas gripped his revolver. He hesitated for a heartbeat, but then came the memory. A house in flames. That night, his wife and son were killed in a senseless act of vengeance. He knew if the rope tightened around Naisha's neck, history would repeat itself. "Stop!" Jonas roared, his voice rough and cutting through the chaos like a whip. The entire square fell silent. Hundreds of eyes turned toward him. The mad cattleman no one dared to cross. Jonas stepped out from the shadows, walking straight toward the gallows. Hand resting on the colt at his hip. "He did not kill the Whitmore girl," Jonas said firmly. "You've all been played. The knife wounds, the tracks, they were planted." The crowd burst into jeers. A few men began to surge forward, but Jonas drew his revolver like lightning and fired a single shot into the air. The crack of the gun exploded through the square, and silence dropped like a hammer. And lifted his head and looked at Jonas. For the first time, a flicker of hope sparked in the old man's eyes. Up on the balcony, Bentley's lips curled into a faint smile. He knew the game had just gotten a whole lot more interesting. Jonas's gunshot was still echoing when the square erupted into chaos. People screamed, some cursed. A few drunken farmers shouted, "This lunatic is defending the Redskins. Shoot them both." The deputy sheriff clenched his jaw and barked to the guards. "Take him down." But Jonas had already stepped up to the gallows, gun ready. His cold gray eyes scanned the crowd like a lone wolf holding back a pack of mad dogs. He growled, "Anyone takes another step, I will blow their damn head off." A heavy silence fell above them. The rope was still taut. Death only a lever pull away. Nate tilted his head slightly, his lips pressed into a firm line. In a single glance between him and Jonas, an unspoken agreement passed. Jonas drew his knife. With one swift cut, the rope snapped. Nate dropped hard onto the wooden platform, coughing, his breath broken and shallow. The crowd roared, furious like animals robbed of their kill. "Tyaterator!" Someone shouted. "Shoot him! Shoot them both!" Clicks of cocked guns rang out from every direction. Jonas yanked Nachi to his feet, shielding him, and fired back. A bullet slammed into the platform just inches away. Wood dust flying everywhere. The crowd scattered in chaos. Jonas leapt off the gallows, dragging in behind him. He could hear his heart pounding like hooves. His black horse still tied near the saloon. Gritting his teeth, Jonas pulled Nash through a hail of stones and bullets. From the balcony, Bentley watched it all with cold amusement. He murmured to his aide, "Let him escape. The more chaos we have, the easier it will be to claim the land." Jonas and Nash finally reached the horse. It reared back. Then galloped down the dusty main street. Bullets tore through the air behind them. Shouts chased them, but after a few turns, they vanished into the night on the town's edge. In the darkness of a narrow canyon, Jonas pulled the reins and stopped. Nash slid off the horse, collapsing to the ground, coughing violently. His trembling hands clutched the rope marks still red on his neck. Jonas knelt beside him and handed over a canteen. "Drink. Then tell me what the hell is going on." Nash took a long breath. His eyes still glowed in the shadows. His voice came hoarse. "This was a trap. I came to Silver Creek for peace talks, but someone killed the Whitmore girl and left Apache signs behind. They want blood. They want my people erased from this land." Jonas